welcome to Expressive Arts with Akshata. This is episode number 10. Oh my god, we've come a long way and I'm extremely happy to introduce to you all today. With us is Niharicaaa. And my journey with her started somewhere, I think, 3 or 4 years back when she came for a workshop that I was facilitating, and those were the very few, not very few, but those were the initial few workshops that I was kind of facilitating, and I met her there. And then after that our journey continued. We met at various other workshops and courses, and I always found this really nice strong connect with her. And before getting into the actual shooting of this episode, we were just discussing where we met, and she kind of came up with a word called flow. And she said it's all about flow. And I was like, yeah, this relation and this connection that we share is about flow. So I welcome Niharica today on this show, and I'm going to leave it up to her to introduce herself. Niharica, hi.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
And how does it feel to be here?
It feels really great. Thank you so much for having me. I think this is a really great initiative that you're doing, and I'm really grateful to be a part of it.
Thank you so much. Can you tell us something about you and, of course, about your new venture as well?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a psychologist, and I also facilitate art and movement therapy both. And I did my master's in clinical psychology, and I did that in the UK. And I get this question a lot, like, why did you move back to India? But this is home. This land is my home. So I always knew that I was going to do my master's and come back. And I worked in different things for about 3 years. And I think last year at some point it was kind of just culminating in this idea that I wanted to start doing something of my own, because I wanted to have more freedom in the kind of things I offered to people, and really get my ideas out there, which I found I wasn't quite able to do when I was working for other organizations and things. And so interior gardening came up, and it was actually 2 days after I put it out there that I realized I was an entrepreneur. So yes, I'm an accidental entrepreneur. And I think when I told my friends this, they were like, yeah, you're a good Jew, it's expected. I said, I did not think of that. But anyway, so interior gardening is what I offer, and it's essentially kind of encapsulates all the different kind of services that I provide. Those are therapeutic and well-being oriented. So it's not just about I have this issue that I want to work through, but it's also that, hey, I'm doing great. I want to get to know myself better, or just I want to explore something new. And I do things with all different kinds of populations. Of course, there's individual therapy, and I work with adolescents and up. And I also provide sex education for schools. There's corporate workshops and workshops for college students, because I find that a lot of my clients are college students, and a lot of them come from the whole moving to a new city for the first time population. So yeah, Pune's a really interesting city that way, and I'm quite excited to be able to offer these things here. Yeah.
Amazing. And what inspired you to give your venture a name called Interior Gardening?
Yeah, so that's a funny story. I actually had considered the idea of inner worlds before.
Okay.
Because for me, I wanted something that said that we're reaching within ourselves and connecting with those parts of us. And a friend of mine came up with the name Interior Gardening. I had been obsessively watching these gardening shows.
Okay.
Yeah, it just kind of happened, and this was just in passing conversation that he mentioned that, oh yeah, I thought of a name for your company and your practice, and you can call it Interior Gardening. And then he continued with the conversation. I was like, wait, hold on, go back. And it just kind of fit right. And my love of nature, and I feel like gardening is just such a great metaphor for nurturing and our interiors, because gardenings require a lot of TLC, a lot of tender loving care, and it's something that's a process that needs to be ongoing. It's not like you design a garden and then it's done. It's something that needs upkeeping and maintenance, and just a lot of nurturing.
Wow, really interesting. Amazing. And so what's the philosophy and passion behind this venture?
Right, so the entire idea of interior gardening is to create safe spaces. is to create emotionally safe spaces where people can come and individually explore themselves and maybe discover something new about themselves, maybe connect with parts that they did not feel comfortable connecting with before, and just keep that space really safe. I think that's what's very important for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I I'm very much of the personal psychology kind of person, so I believe in working on individuals, and I feel like that is how we come together as a community.
Right.
I feel like every individual that is affected in a positive way then spreads that to the people around them, and I feel like this is my contribution to that.
Right. Wow, really interesting. And all the best with that.
Thanks so much.
But let's come to your journey with expressive arts. And what is your journey been with expressive arts?
So I came to Expressive Arts because I was fed up of clinical psychology. I did my master's, and a lot of my education was focused on diagnostics and about learning everything that's wrong with people's minds. And so I found that really defeating. And although I found when in my practice I do see the importance of it, but when I came back to India, there was just this need to find tools that would help. Okay, I've identified that there are these certain issues, but what do I do about them? And I wanted something that was just more approachable.
Right.
And I went to visual art therapy just to explore it for myself. That's where my journey with expressive art started. And it ended up being something that I decided to practice professionally as well. And it was actually your workshop that with dance movement therapy that gave me the idea of wanting to explore more with my body. And I'd just done Vipassana that year as well. So there's just this whole this thing about body-based intervention just kind of kept coming back to me, and I was going back and forth about whether to do arts-based therapy or dance movement therapy because both were equal time commitment. And I decided to do dance movement therapy, and that really changed a lot for me. And that's how it's been so far, and it continues to grow with every client that I see, with every new thing that I do.
Great, amazing. And so, taking from what you said, what were your reasons to vouch for expressive arts therapy or dance movement therapy, art therapy, and what are the reasons for yourself that you use these for yourself as well?
Right. I'd like to talk about this one incident. So during the dance movement therapy course, we had to watch a documentary. I think it was from the American Dance Therapy Association. And it was just an introductory documentary about dance movement therapy. And our trainer had asked us to write down whatever came to mind right after we finished the documentary. And I just wrote 3 words because I couldn't come up with anything else. And that just kind of summed it up. And it was, I am moved. And I think that is what just bang, I was like, yeah, this is it, this works.
Right.
And I experienced it for myself with both visual art and dance movement therapy, how it was approachable. It wasn't so scary, and I had a lot of judgments about my artwork because school and things. And, everyone else seemed to do it better than me, so what's the point? So that was definitely a concern. But when I went to expressive arts and using it to show what was happening within me, it was completely different. And I think that is what I loved, that I didn't have to try and make it look like anything.
Right.
Whether it was movement, whether it was art, it could just be.
Yes.
And I could just be.
Yeah.
And that is what really that is, I think, the one main thing I would say that drew me, and that's why I still continue to push for it.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, just be, to be,
Just
that is one of the main reasons for me as well to kind of use expressive arts therapy. And it's amazing. It's totally amazing. So with expressive arts, what has been your success story?
So a lot of things that come to mind. One definitely would be me, because I can vouch for my own journey, and both both art and movement therapy helped me acknowledge and accept the parts of myself that I had been running away from all my life.
Yeah.
And I think that was the turning point for me when I was like, okay, if I can do this for myself, I think that I can make it also, I can facilitate that process for other people.
For sure.
And there's this one particular story with this client that happened. So she had been experiencing like anxiety related and depressive symptoms, and so that session we worked on her inner critic, and we explored the different kind of voices that she had within herself. The one voice that was saying constantly like go go go, like you have to do this, and did you forget about that and that, and very like on the move, harsh, critical, pushing voice. And there was, and so we used visual art therapy that day, and I was just like, you know what, why don't we try and like see what these voices look like. And that's all I did, and she just picked it up from there, and it was amazing to watch her discover herself and understand how her inner world functioned based on those different voices. And she came to her conclusions entirely by herself, and you know, that was such an empowering experience even for me to know that like that I could just provide this tool, and then people could do as they wanted with it and make the sense that they wanted to make of it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And what you said was so powerful, like first using it for yourself and then extending towards others. I think once you experience it, it's easy to kind of facilitate it for like everyone as well. And from that, like, where do you really see expressive arts in the next 5 years?
So like in India, or like in my journey?
In your journey in India, because like all of us in the country right now are just kind of working towards building this community and building kind of this profession, you know. So yeah, in general, like you being in India, you practicing in India at the current moment, where do you see expressive arts in the next 5 years?
I think in the next 5 years, what I think is going to happen is a lot more like formal training in terms of people getting the kind of education they need about these fields, because each of them is a whole field within itself.
For sure.
And like just knowing one is completely not like enough to say that I know what all of them are like, because every one of them brings such different elements to understanding, and like very different kind of tools. So one definitely aspect would be training, and I just see it opening up for people more and more. And I think expressive arts, the way that it's happening in India right now, especially in some of the big cities, Delhi, Bombay, Pune, Bangalore, Chennai, like these are the ones that I hear most of things happening. I think it's going to play a very important role in people asking for support.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's going to play a very important role in people saying that I don't have to have something wrong with me to like experience therapy.
Sure.
And that would be a very fundamental shift in the whole idea of mental health and the stigma that we have about mental illness in our country.
Yeah, that's so true. Like, that is so true. Just to kind of go and experience therapy, not because you have an issue, but just for the joy of experience what it is to be around art or just in a supportive like space. That's so true. Okay, thank you so much for that journey. Like everything that you kind of said to us or like told us like contributes so much to your journey and to all of us to be inspired in different ways. But now comes the fun side. Okay, and it's the rapid fire.
All right.
So I'm going to ask you a few questions, and whatever comes to your mind first, just like say it out.
Sure.
Okay, so the first question would be one go-to art form.
I would say art. Like
Art.
I'd like it to be movement, but I would say art.
Okay. One quality that makes you the facilitator that you are today.
Patience.
Patience.
I'd like to be as patient in my real life as I am as a therapist and a facilitator. I think that's something that I've worked very hard on, and I really am able to bring that into my sessions.
Wow, beautiful. And tell us one reaction that you get from people when you tell them what you do. Is that the reaction?
No, that's not the reaction. It's funny because I meet people in social settings and they say, like, you know, there's always the, hey, I'm so-and-so, and like, oh, so what do you do? And I say, I'm a psychologist and I do like art and movement therapy. and they usually go, "Oh, really? I need a therapist." And I'm like, "Great, I'll refer you to one."
That's a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really new one
Yeah.
because we generally hear what did you say? Can you explain it to us like that?
Yeah.
But this is different. Okay.
This is, and the other one is also, "Oh, can you read my mind?" which just gets on my nerves so much. It's been something I've been hearing ever since I started studying psychology, and it's just never changed.
So Niharica, what's going on in my mind?
Like,
I'm irritating you,
expressive
right?
arts therapy, maybe.
Great. Moving on to the next question. How expressive are you?
It depends on who I'm around. Yeah, I think with my inner circle, I am very expressive verbally and like movement wise and yeah, in general. But with others, I would say my expression is what's the word? Deliberate. Yeah.
And okay, yes. Okay, moving on to the next question. I had something in my mind, but I kind of rethought about that. Maybe I'll tell you after the show gets done. So moving on to the last part of the episode, where I would like you to use few crayons, because you said that's your go-to art form. And here are a few papers, and maybe you could express something and tell us what you really feel about expressive arts.
Okay. Stop at this because I could keep going otherwise. Yeah, so this is it for me. For me, expressive arts is an explosion. It's like in a good way. It's an exploration, and it's contained.
Wow. Yeah.
And I think that's what really makes me feel supported when I'm doing expressive arts, because I have these tools, and like I'm with a facilitator or someone who I know can hold the space for whatever comes up. And also that just center, like grounding. I think it helps, expressive arts helps me come back to my center. And yeah, I think that's what it's all about.
Great. Thank you, Niharica. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for sharing what expressive arts means to you. I would like you, or in fact, I invite you to give out a message to our audience about expressive arts therapy.
Okay. I'm at a loss for words right now. But I think essentially what I would like to say is try it. Like, just try it. I know that people have a lot of inhibitions about moving and about doing art. But it's worth it. The experience is worth it if you just give it a shot once. And maybe one particular expressive arts is not your thing, and you can always try another one. Because I feel like all of these expressive arts are so fundamentally connected with who we are.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of finding which one best supports your expression.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much for that, Niharica. You've been so inspirational. Like, for me, like, I just found while I was talking to you and we were going through this process, there was certain kind of calmness that I found within myself while you were talking. So thank you so much for that. Like, it's just been beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So that was Niharicaaa, and get in touch with her, get in touch with us to know more about expressive arts, and thank you for watching this episode. Stay in tune to episode number 11.